Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Revolution podcast. How you been, Steve?
I'm very well. I've been really good. How have you?
Yeah, not so bad, not so bad.
A good week. Good week.
Yeah, oh yeah, crazy busy. It feels like we're getting close to summer now, which is good news. So I can get out walking my dogs out in the forest, shoot my little videos for Instagram. I've committed to recording 3 videos a day on Instagram. So if you are following me on Instagram, that's alcohol free coach underscore. Quick plug. You'll probably get a bit fed up with hearing about me because I'm just like it's just churning out videos at a rate of knots. But
I
yeah,
literally see enough of your face every week, but let alone turning on my phone every morning and there you pop up, literally. I see more of you than I do of Joe.
I know it's crazy, isn't it? It's funny the way that that's played out. Actually, I was out recently with my friend Andy, who's like my best mate, known him for like 30 odd years, and I was saying to him, it's funny the way that um, I've met Steve because he's come from a similar background, sort of work wise, and we're both doing the coaching, we're both alcohol free, and now we've got this podcast. And I think the older you get, you don't really meet that many new friends as you get older, and that sounds a little bit sad and a bit weird, but that is the reality, I think, for a lot of people. But I feel like since we've been doing this
Friends.
yeah, podcast friend.
Oscar podcast
Podcast friend.
friend.
Yeah, no, it's been really good getting to know you. And do you know what? I remember when you were on OTI.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember it was Ben, wasn't it, that said that because we didn't know each other hardly at all when we first
Mm.
decided we are going to do this podcast. And I remember Ben saying to you on OTI, once you start doing a podcast with somebody, you get to know them pretty quickly. And I feel like that's what's happened.
Totally. Totally. But yeah, we're fast approaching a year. And yeah, that will be hopefully you'll remember that birthday.
Our first, very good. I like what you did there. So I forgot Steve's birthday for anyone that didn't listen to
Well,
that episode.
they all, well, it's been every episode almost. I've reminded you,
Yeah,
but
you haven't
yeah,
stopped going on about it. So
no, exactly, exactly. But then you had the cheek to go on the podcast to go on and interview my wife and both talk about how bad my memory
I
was.
mean, you are
I,
horrendously
I am
forgetful.
bad. I am bad.
I
But you
was
think I'm
so.
bad now? You should have seen me 10 years ago.
Oh God.
It was not good. I mean, genuinely, that was one of the biggest impacted things with my in my alcohol drinking days was my memory. My
Was it?
my, my good friends down in Bournemouth. Shout out to Woody and Suze. I used to live with them up in London, and it's a standing joke that I would leave the house 6 times a day just to go out the house once. Gone, forgot my keys. Gone, forgot my phone. Gone, forgot my wallet. Gone, forgot. And I'd be in and out like a yo-yo. So yeah, that was me. So I'm not as
Blimey.
bad, but it was not good. It's not good. Anyway,
Yeah.
who's on this week?
So this week, I've wanted to get somebody on who I've known for quite a long time, actually. Who his name's Ollie Coe, and he was pivotal in my alcohol-free adventure. I won't talk about why because we talk about it in the episode. But he's a great guy and he had a really big influence on me. I don't think he did it intentionally. And when we talk about it in the interview, actually, he didn't remember most of it. But he was a real important figure in my head because he just signposted a couple of things for me that went on to be massive. So having him on is brilliant. He's also a listener to the show as well, which I didn't
Yeah.
realize. He said he's listened to nearly all the episodes. So again, that was really, really nice. We used to work together and it was great to reconnect with him. And he's somebody I hold in extremely high regard. And he's just such a really chilled guy. He's a really, obviously it's the first time you met him on the interview, but it's a really nice vibe on this interview. And yeah, he's really inspiring, really nice fella. And yeah, it's great to get him on finally. And I kind of wish we'd done it sooner, but great to have him on now. So
Yeah.
yeah, here he is. Here's our interview with Ollie Coe. Welcome back to the Alcohol Free Revolution podcast. This week we're joined by an old friend of mine. His name's Ollie Coe, and we used to work together. Ollie is actually a part of my origin story, which is part of the reason I wanted to get him on. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Ollie, welcome to the Alcohol Free Revolution podcast.
Thanks very much.
Welcome along.
Long time listener, and I feel like we should have done this earlier because you can't with any respect go from Catherine Gray to some guy that James used to work with. But I've taken lots of notes. And if Catherine Gray is listening, I just want to gush a little bit and say that thank you for helping to change my life and many other people's as well. It's
Yeah.
really been the springboard for getting off the booze. So yeah, thank you, Catherine.
Of course she's listening.
Well, there was a fair bit of gushing going on when we interviewed her, to be entirely honest, and
Yeah.
afterwards on social media. So yeah, all big Catherine Gray fans here.
Yeah.
So that's probably a good place to start, actually, Ollie, because you didn't personally introduce me to Catherine Gray, but you suggested to me when I was sober curious that I should read that. Maybe you don't remember this, but I remember it because it was an important part of my life. But
Yeah.
so let me just tell a bit of the story before we get into yours. This was during COVID that this happened, and we were playing poker. We worked. Ollie and I used to work together, and we had a poker night online on Zoom during COVID. And you weren't drinking, and I found that quite fascinating because I was hammered. And I remember, and I've been trying to go alcohol free for quite a while by that point, and just completely failing and failing and failing. And you said two things to me. The first one was, "Why don't you read *The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober* by Catherine Gray?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go and do that." And you also said, "Have you tried alcohol free beer?" And I was a bit like, "Yeah, it's gross. I'm not doing that. It's disgusting." And I remember at the time comparing it to decaf coffee. I was like, well, what's the point? There's no alcohol in it. There's no point drinking it. And you said, no, 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 there's some really decent ones. And I remember you were saying about Lucky Saint. And I went away and started trying alcohol-free beer, and those two things, alcohol-free beer and Quit Lit, that was the first book I read in terms of Quit Lit. Those two things were absolutely pivotal in me going alcohol-free. So I want to thank you for that because you really played. And actually, one further thing as well, when I first started coaching, you introduced me to my first client. So that's three things that you've done that had a huge impact on my future direction in terms of being alcohol-free. So thank you very much, mate.
Oh, that's wicked. No, I think as you found through exploring it as a career, like you want to pay it forward. And I think it's like I found it really interesting with friends who become curious. Like there's a couple of friends recently who have come off the booze. Shout out John and Sarah. And Sarah said to me after like a few weeks of being alcohol free, like, why didn't you shout this from the rooftops? Why didn't you tell people earlier? And there's definitely like a mindfulness to not appear to be pushy or preachy. Like you sort of like I found myself, and I can't remember that. I couldn't remember the poker nights, but I think that's really interesting. You sort of find yourself sat there like, I feel so good. This is still such a good experience. Like I really don't need the booze for this to be good. And but I don't want to be that guy. Like I don't want to be that guy of like, hey guys, have you considered not drinking when you're playing poker? And I think that's
I,
really interesting. Like you sort of then open the door to it, and people like experience it for themselves, and like, oh wow, this is actually great. So yeah, no, it's awesome.
How many hands of poker did you win because you were alcohol free though, while everyone else was hammered and giving
I
the game
get
away?
bored,
That's all.
like I get bored because like I think when you're playing poker and you're drinking, like the time goes and like you sort of like blur over with the focus. Like when I'm playing a poker night where it's like 3 4 hours of poker, there's definitely a time, and this is probably the case as well with, I think you've talked about like when you go to pub nights, you can't do that like
Mm.
6 hour pub night anymore. It's the same with that situation where you're like, I'm done now. Like I'm like everyone's slurring and like I've had enough of poker. I don't have the patience to see it through. So yeah, I don't imagine that I won anything.
yeah, you were very understated about it actually because I guess just for a bit of context, how long are you alcohol-free now for, Ollie?
So it will be 7 years in October. So
Awesome.
I did Sober October in 2019, which was like in my mind like perfect timing just before like lockdowns and stuff.
Mm.
Because by then I was like, okay, I'm by the time that all of that stuff happened in 2020, I'm like, cool, I'm like done with booze now. So all of the time at home was fine without it. So yeah, feels like a long time now.
I always remember you being quite understated about it, because what you described in terms of being some complete pain in the ass has been like, come on, guys, you'll love it. It's great. That's me. And
Yeah.
I've had to kind of re-rein that in because I know how irritating it is. But you were always really understated about it. And I didn't even know that you didn't drink because I used to sit quite close to you, and obviously we knew each other, but I didn't really know that about you.
Yeah, I think it's become like obviously like over the past few years, it's becoming like more and more common to not drink as well. And I
Mm.
think at the time then, like you say about the alcohol-free beers, there weren't many. I have never drunk Caliber. I've never even seen Caliber, but you guys have talked about Caliber enough
Legendary
for that.
Caliber.
I'm still
But
I'm
I don't
still
want to
getting
touch
over it the
it.
time I drank Caliber.
But for me, like some of the only beers then were like Beck's Blue is in
Yeah,
most places, which
yeah,
is awful, and you might get a Heineken Zero. Like that was like the new shiny thing. So like talking about alcohol-free beers, then it wasn't so much to shout about, and there wasn't an awful lot of like quit lit as well. But I think the unexpected joy of being sober is like is is so mind-blowing because it positions not drinking as a good thing and
yeah.
all the benefits that come off the back of that. So like for me, it's like a cheat code to really get into it if you give it the focus.
Awesome, awesome. So it was interesting hearing you say that. This you went into COVID kind of that's it, I'm done. Because obviously October, what was it, with January or March? No, it was March, wasn't it? March 2020. March the
Yeah.
23rd, 2020 was when the frizzy-haired buffoon got onto the TV and told us all to stay home.
Yeah.
God, yeah, 6 years ago. Um,
Yeah.
so how how did COVID affect that? Were you just totally down with it? You were totally like, it's fine, I'm cool, I don't need to drink, or was there any element? Because obviously, COVID hit a lot of people quite hard in terms of drinking, that
Yeah.
ability to drink at home and hide it in your teacup on a Zoom call and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was totally fine. I think by then, like for me, like how it came about that the in 2019 to stop drinking, like maybe I'll go back a couple of steps in terms of like
Mm,
why I stopped drinking in the first place. And I think for me, like I was always one of those guys that didn't have like an off switch. So it was more like nights out where booze was about. Like I wanted as much of it as possible. And I was the guy that would always kind of like be the mess at the end of the evening, being a liability, getting lost, being sick. Like there's plenty of anecdotes if we want to get into that. Which are, embarrassing, but I think is important. And that year, like I decided to do the sober October. I'd done dry January before, like a couple of years before, um, and it was fine. Uh, like I'd been out still and had a good time, been like clubbing that year, and it's like, oh wow, this is actually still fine. Like this is still good. So doing the sober October in 2019 was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, it's been a bad year. There's been some like bad nights and big arguments, and like, I really need to take a break now. But after the October, it was like, I feel like pretty good. Like, I feel really good in myself. I'm sleeping better. My mind's like calmer and clearer. Um, and I'm not really missing it. And so it was more like then, okay, I'll do like another week, and then I'll do another week. And I think like after a few months, it was like, yeah, I'm pretty done with this now. Christmas 2019 was harder than lockdown. Christmas, the first Christmas without booze, because I also was then exploring like not eating meat or cheese, so having a vegan diet around then as well. And I tell you what, the first Christmas with no booze and no meat or cheese, that's a dark time. Like lockdown was fine,
Oof.
an alcohol-free first Christmas was
mm,
because like booze was so integral to Christmas for me. It was like, and then when that was gone, it was like, well, what do I do now? Because everyone else is like drinking and just chilling, and like, what do I do now? So yeah, that was tough. But by lockdown, I was already thinking like, I don't think I'll drink again. And so it wasn't so hard at that stage.
yeah.
So was it like a gradual kind of realization that shit needs to change, or was there one thing? Yeah, was there a rock bottom moment, or was it just a gradual? Talk about where that came from. How did you arrive at the conclusion that something needs
Yeah,
to change?
yeah. There's two things I think. So I always had in my mind like, I would love to be that guy who like exercised a lot and like didn't drink, maybe did some yoga, maybe got into like meditation. Oh, I've always wanted to be like explore game development. That's been something I've interested in. Oh wow, I'd love to do like rock climbing. And I always had all those thoughts in my head of like I wanted to be this like growth minded guy, but it was always like just out of reach. So it was like, that would be really cool, but like I'm not I'm probably not going to end up doing that. And I think the booze like really held me back in that sense. So for there were years where I'm like kind of flirting with that idea, and probably like a year or two before, like I started exercising a bit more. I think Joe Wicks was like a massive help for that because it became like really accessible. And then that
Mm.
started to feel a bit better, like made me feel good. I think, yeah, 2019, there was some bad. I wouldn't say it was like rock bottom, but there was like, you know, nights where I boozing up at like a wedding or something and then was like back in the hotel room sick in my sleep. And that was a bad one. Or like going out for boozing in Cambridge with some friends and my partner Abby, and it got too much, drank so much, and ended up like being sick in the pub and starting a fight with somebody. And like it was just like getting bad that year. Like there were always sort of these moments where I would like get lost or be like a mess or a liability, but like it started to get to the point where it was having a real detrimental effect on me and my relationship. And you know, we were having arguments and it was getting more elevated. So it was certainly getting to that point where I was like, I need to find a solution here because this isn't working. You know, there's too many dates in the calendar where booze is around, and so I need to find a better way to manage that. And just on that as well, I think, you know, I certainly had explored things like moderation, and you know, one on, one off. I can't remember what
Zebra
that's called.
stroking.
Zebras,
Zebra
yeah, yeah,
striking.
yeah. But for me, it was impossible. Like, you know, I'd do the one on, and it was like Jekyll and Hyde. I'm like one on. I'm like, how about two on? How about three on? I don't want a soft drink yet. And like Ollie with no booze can make good decisions. Ollie with one, two drinks can't make those decisions, like, and can't stick to that. So it had to be like off. Like that was the only way that this was going to work. There was no like moderation just wasn't going to work.
Mm. Yeah, I totally agree. That's
It's it's interesting hearing you say that because it often people find, you know, you talked about wanting to get to rock climbing, wanting to get into exercise, wanting to maybe do yoga, meditation, all these kind of things. That's often what people discover when they decide to go alcohol free. But it sounds to me like it was something that was already in your mind. And
Yeah.
was the noise around these messier nights, was that just getting louder, or was what kind of where did the switch kind of flip? Was it a break initially? Where did you suddenly make that decision to step away for a bit?
I think, yeah, like one of the last time I've ever been drunk was a night out for a birthday, and like ended up really drunk, play fighting with friends and getting into a big argument with my partner, and us having a huge fight. And you know, there was talk of like breaking up and things in the heat of the moment, and that was the last time I've ever been drunk. And it was definitely that point where it was like, okay, something needs to happen now. Like we need to do something now. Yeah, and regarding like wanting to do all of those growth minded things, it always just felt like out of reach. But I think I can't remember how you've described it, but going alcohol free is like, is it cornerstone habit
Keystone.
or
Yeah.
Keystone
keystone
habit.
habit?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that was like so real because you do, like, for me it was like, oh wow, that feels really good not having booze. I wonder what else I could do that would make me
Yeah.
feel better. And then after a while you're like, wow, I feel like really capable now. Like I'm gonna go and try those things that I wanted to do. Like, so I have been into rock climbing in the past like 5 years or something, and like got into game development and
Mm.
training for a marathon and all of these things. It was like all of those doors like opened because the energy that I was losing from drinking all like came in, and this allowed me to like do so much more. The trade
It-
up is like wild.
It's crazy, isn't it? We always try and kind of get people to sort of think about that. It's like, you know, people are saying, well, I like a glass of wine with dinner, or, you know, I like a couple of beers after work. Yeah, great. I get that. But you've got to look what's on the other side of the table, what's on offer. And if you look at, you
Yeah.
know, because I think one of the things we don't talk about enough is sometimes, you know, I'll try and not convince people, but say to people that you can go out and socialize, you can still have a great time. Nothing changes when you don't drink, but it kind of does. You are losing something. You're not going to be in the pub for 6 hours at a time. I kind of talk quite a lot about that. But then you look at all these things that you're gaining, and what you've sort of spoken about there, Ollie, and Steve's mentioned this quite a few times in the past as well, and he's so right in that you talk about doing all those things when you're in the pub, but you never fucking do them
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the next day when you're
Exactly.
like, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z. No, you're not. You're going to get up and you're going to make yourself a bacon sandwich and a cup of tea, and you're going to go back
Yeah.
to bed
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
worry about it. But then when alcohol's not there anymore, in a way, you're kind of forced to look for new things because you've got this big gap that's where something's been for 20 years, and all of a sudden it's not there, and you're like, okay, well, what the hell am I going to do? And you don't do those things immediately, but they do start to blossom and emerge, as the weeks and the months go by, and as the years go by, they really take root and they become your new source of joy, and they're real joy. But they can't grow when alcohol's, poisoning the soil, if you like. When alcohol's there, these things can't come through. And
yeah,
so you have to, because I speak to a lot of people as well who kind of get to around about 6 months in and they start to be a bit like, is this it? I thought it was going to be more to this than that. And I was chatting to somebody online only yesterday about it, and she was saying, "Yeah, I'm really glad I'm alcohol free, but I kind of feel a bit empty and a bit bereft. I'm kind of waiting for something to happen. I'm like, stick with it. I promise it will
mm,
happen." It's a bit like planting seeds in a garden. You have to wait for things to grow. But it really is like that. And what you've just described, is that exactly all of these things. You find new things because you're not just going to spend the rest of your life doing nothing, where
yeah,
you used
yeah,
to drink,
No.
because you've
yeah.
got that energy.
I think it's like growing a muscle as well. Like you said that
It
a lot of
is.
people sit around and talk about like, oh, I want to do this thing, I want to do that thing. I think someone once said that, like you get the same like dopamine from talking about doing it as you do from doing it, like in a
Mm,
small on a smaller scale. So I
mm,
think you almost have to start like proving to yourself that you can do difficult things or you can explore stuff and like you can step into that and make yourself uncomfortable. The other thing about you said about changing, not being able to necessarily do the same things. I think for me, the thing that always comes to mind is I had to give myself permission to have fun. I think, and this is like always like such a huge learning for me because I think before I would go into an uncomfortable situation and drink because I felt uncomfortable. But like now I've been stag do's like sober. Like I've been to Munich, James, and you've been to Germany. Is
mm.
it wasn't Oktoberfest, but I've
Right.
been like we do karaoke regularly now. I love
Oh
karaoke.
my
I love
God.
sober
Wow,
karaoke.
you're
It's
another level.
it's brilliant.
I'm interested there because that's
You're another
something I
level.
haven't. I used to love karaoke after a few drinks.
Yeah, it's so good. And it
Yeah,
for me again, it's like like you need to allow yourself to have fun. Like you
yeah,
go into that situation and if you would sing at the top of your lungs when you're drunk, why wouldn't you do that when you're sober?
yeah,
Maybe it's because you felt uncomfortable, maybe it's because you felt embarrassed, but like no one cares and everyone's going to have a good time the more of a good time that you're having. So I've done like I still go like clubbing, I go like festivals and for the first but like it's always been like the first maybe 30 minutes or something like oh I might feel a bit anxious, might feel a bit like self-conscious looking around like oh what do people think about me and my how I'm dancing and things and then like after a while you just like relax into it
yeah,
and I found that I was like drinking to get that relaxation but it's almost like it was always just the time like it always just took time regardless of whether I drink or not.
Yeah, we spoke about that a few weeks ago. Actually, it's this idea of I've forgotten the term that we use, but it's when you it's social anxiety. So it's you when you first go to a place where there's people that you don't know, you naturally feel kind of quite apprehensive and a little bit guarded, and that's completely normal. That's a human defense mechanism, and kids
Mm.
do it. When you take kids to a kids party and they're a little bit scared to go in and hiding behind their mum's legs, and then 10 minutes later you can't drag them out of the place having an amazing time. And it's the same with humans, but we get so used to like preloading.
Yeah,
We drink before we even go out, so that when we get there there's no social pressure whatsoever.
yeah.
But that social pressure is just part of our evolution. That's part of our defense mechanism,
mm,
Mhm.
and we're so scared of it.
Yeah, yeah,
And often, and this is where people get stuck, I think, on the social piece, is they think that the way they feel during the first 10 minutes, some people they don't really know, say it's a work event for argument's sake, they think it's going to be like that for the entire night. I'm going to feel really awkward and really uncomfortable. You don't. You just do for 10 minutes, and then you kind of get
Yeah.
used to it. So it's normal.
Yeah. I think like, and some events like can be difficult. Like I've done weddings and things, and like some weddings are great, but they always like some weddings so great regardless of whether you're drinking or not. And if they're great, everyone's together, you're dancing, you're having a great time. Sometimes they're lame, and but that it might be that there's a point where you're like, I'm done now. And I think that's important for me now. Is like if I'm out for drinks with friends or I'm at an event or something, and everyone's messy, and it's getting to that point where I can objectively and subjectively see that this is lame now. Like I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave now. I'm going to take
Just go.
myself out of this, and it's fine. Like no one cares. Like no
Yeah.
one notices.
No.
And you can just walk away and get your good night's sleep and feel great in the morning.
It's like a get out of jail free card, isn't it? It's amazing. It's that
Yeah,
ability
yeah.
to just disappear. Is there anything that you noticed that you almost rediscovered when stepping away from alcohol? Because you clearly had some ideas of what you wanted to do in terms of getting back into it or doing exercise and rock climbing, what have you. Is there anything that kind of crept up that caught you off guard that you thought, actually, I haven't done that in years?
Um, I don't necessarily think so. I feel like had just been drinking for so long, right? Like, like when I probably drank first when I was like 15 or something. Like I remember it was the kind of the millennium and getting given a couple of bottles of hooch or something, and getting like fairly tipsy on that. And then after that, it was like every Friday night, like hanging out with friends and going to get the guy that looked older than the rest of us to buy some booze from the shop, and like getting completely out of our face, like when we were in like 15, 16, like on a Friday night. And it just like never stopped, from then all into like college and into university, and then afterwards, and then you got some money, and you're still drinking. So it almost felt like a completely new life, because it was like I'd never, like it was a whole like complete lifetime ago that I hadn't had anything to drink. So
It's because I'm just kind of working out the sort of timeline. So you're coming up to 40, is that right?
yeah, so I'm 38, nearly 39.
So so you were early 30s then when you stopped?
Yeah,
32.
so yeah, early 30s. Yeah.
Mm.
That's, I mean, that's
Still a
quite a
good.
good head start. Yeah, to be honest with you. I
Mm.
mean, I think what the people we kind of work around, not always, but generally that little bit further down the line, I was, well, what am I now? 53. I'll have to think.
56 on you.
50, 56. I'm 53 now, so I was kind of 47,
Going on
48
60.
before
Yeah.
before I stopped, and often come back to, how was it around your kind of social group at that age? Were you definitely the only one, or were there a number of you that kind of didn't drink? How did that work?
Yeah, so there's not like not so many others. So there's another one of my friends, Dean. He would drink like a lot more than me and like have bad nights. And he maybe quit like a year or two before I did, but like he very much needed to. But he was the kind of guy that like I would play football with him on a Monday, and he was just the nicest guy. Like I just loved being around him. And then on a Friday night, we would go out, and like he was the worst guy to be around when he was drunk. Like, nights got very messy. So like he was very much an outlier, but it was almost like it needed to happen. And I'm
Mm,
so proud of him because he was able to have that strength to make that change. But no one else was really like doing it around my friendship group. So I feel like for me as well, like it needed to happen. And I would never say like I was an alcoholic or anything, but I
mm,
I definitely like was greedy and like disrespectful of alcohol and maybe disrespectful of myself in that sense. So like it needed to happen for me. But it's not so much a culture of like choosing to do that. And like I say, a couple more of my friends recently have like asked me about it because they were like really sure about my relationship with alcohol. So I'm like, okay, great. Like you've opened the door. Let's chat. Like read this book, listen to Alcohol Free Revolution. Like like do it, like drink these drinks. Like there's like for me there's like a kit of like these are the things. Here's the stuff I think. Like text me whenever you want to chat about it. But yeah, like
Yeah.
not many other friends. But I found people, regardless of that, like really respectful of it straight away. Like I never had a situation where friends were like, "Oh, come on, just one. Like, why aren't you drinking? Like this. Like, don't be lame." Like people were so cool about it straight away. But I also try to like still go to things and hang out and have fun and
Mm.
give the energy to them as well. But people, like a couple of people have sort of said to me like, "Oh, I'm like curious about it, but maybe it's something I'll explore one day." But yeah, for me, like as soon as someone shows that curiosity, I'm like, come with me, let's have a chat.
I think that age, 32, feels like bullseye point to
Mm,
quit drinking. I think we talk about it quite a lot, but I think with the benefit of hindsight, I think early to mid 30s is when I wish I'd done it.
yeah.
Because it obviously, and I know it led on to traveling for you, right, Ollie? How was that? How did that come
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. So we probably a little bit like COVID kickstarted that a bit. So we'd always talked about like taking a year off to go traveling. So in 2022, we took a year off and traveled basically all around the world, lots of Asia, then into the Americas as well. We were away for 8 months.
Was that you and your partner?
Yeah, yeah, the two of us. So, and like, I'm so grateful that I'd stopped drinking for that because I got to see everything with clear eyes and got to like embrace the whole time I was there. Didn't get into like messy situations. There were moments, and like because I'm a little bit older as well than some of the people that were traveling. Like we'd be in hostels, people like, "Hey, we're going out. Like, do you want to come out?" I'm like, "Not really." I'd rather wake up early and go and get a great coffee and like explore a city or something and like be a morning person. But yeah, like traveling was so great. And like there's certainly lots of moments like that where I'm so grateful that I've made the change because it's
Mm.
made it so much better.
Yeah, it totally changes your outlook, I think, on traveling.
Mhm.
Um, it was just always beach holidays for me when I was drinking.
Yeah. Or we had
Swim up bars.
like city breaks. Like we went to New York one time, and it was me, Abby, and Abby's sister, and um, all of like their partners as well. And the three of us, the guys, were all big drinkers. And every chance, like when we were in the city, every chance we got, we were like, "Oh, let's go for a drink. Let's go for a drink. Let's go to this bar or whatever." And there was one of the last nights, the girls were like, "Oh, we're gonna go like check out like the station or something. We wanted to go do a little bit of cultural stuff." Okay, we'll just like hang out and have a beer. And that was a wild night. It was like it was like an invitation for us to just go wild. And we were drinking like big 2 pint things, the three of us, and we got absolutely like annihilated, dancing on the
Mm.
tables. We got in at like they were trying to call us, didn't know where we were. Like we got in at like 2, 3 a.m. Like in lots of trouble, felt awful the next day, didn't see all the stuff that they'd planned. So it just meant like it was just like such a priority, traveling, like when I was drinking to find booze and focus it around that.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that I was the same. I backpacked at the age of sort of 22 across. I was kind of me and a few mates flew out to Thailand, and we kind of traveled overland from Thailand to Australia. Basically, we kind of obviously flew to Australia, but I think the entire trip, the best part of 6 or 7 months, was just fueled by alcohol. I look
Yeah.
back now and I think all these absolutely incredible places. I sat down with my wife and the kids and we watched Race Around the World not long ago, and they did the exact trail that I did, and I was like,
Yeah.
I went there. I don't remember that place, but I know I remember the name. I went there and I went there and I went there and all these beautiful places. And we go to these amazing cities, these amazing places, and all we want to do is go and sit in a bar. And it just
Mm,
blows my mind. And then look back and think how many opportunities missed, how many opportunities to explore. And like James was saying as well, holidays and travel just take on a whole new meaning now. They're just,
yeah.
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And sometimes like, I don't regret it. Like I don't like to have
No.
regrets. So like there's definitely some moments that I look back on. Like we traveled to Vietnam in Hanoi and like there was one night where four of us were like in this tiny little bar, and they'd given us like the aux cord. We could play songs on YouTube on the TV, and we were playing some great music, and everyone in the bar was like dancing and like
Mm.
handing us like £1 beers like every 10, 20 minutes to top us off. And it was just like wild, and we had such a good time. So like when things were good, they were good, but
Yeah.
overall it wasn't like, it's not worth the trade-off for me anymore. Like certainly, like I felt when I stopped, it was definitely a good time to. And I feel like I've just like got so many years back from being able to make that change. There's definitely that turning point where the hangovers last longer, and it's harder to you end up like paying in advance so much more for those nights.
Mm.
You mentioned earlier about your partner. What was her role in all this? Is this something that she wanted you to do? Was she resistant to it? What was her relationship with alcohol? And talk.
So I think like, culturally with our friends, like we definitely had like messy nights, and that was for us together. She was never as bad as I was. Like I was always the guy who drank the most and was the messy liability. Um, I think I don't think she ever like pushed me into it. Like I said, something needed to change for our relationship, and it's obviously like it's made such a difference for us. And I think like one of the reflections she had quite early on was like, I think she thought it was definitely a good thing, but she felt like a little bit like it might take from some moments we might have had together. So like wine tasting and things like that, like some stuff that we wouldn't be able to do together anymore, like share a bottle of wine in the evenings. So there was definitely some reflecting on like, oh, I wonder if we're going to lose. Like, can't you just like have moderation? Like, um, but yeah, it's I mean it's taken nothing. Like again, if you allowed yourself to have a good time and engage with people and like all of those things that were always there. Like one thing that little tangent, one thing that a friend John said who's stopped recently is he went for a curry with a friend, and he said like later on in the evening, just like laughing, having a good time, drinking alcohol-free beers. And he said he felt drunk
Yeah.
because he realized it wasn't the booze, it's the connection, it's the having a good time, it's the laughter, like all of those things. Like that's what was making him feel high. And I
Mm.
think that for me is like there was like some anxiety about maybe losing some of those moments, but it's never been about the booze. Like there's so much still there that was actually giving the real good feeling.
I can totally relate to that. I've had moments like that, and those moments are even better, I think,
Mhm.
because when you have that moment, and it's normally with your closest friends, they're all having a few drinks, and you kind of get swept up in it. And
Yeah.
and when you get that moment, I can relate to that. There've been times when I've thought, oh, I actually feel like I'm a bit pissed here, but actually it's just getting swept up in the all the emotion and everything else that's going on. But you're
Yeah.
feeling them 10 times more because you're not blocking it out with alcohol, and you just yeah, and they're amazing. And then you wake up the next
Yeah.
morning and remember everything, and actually you feel great as well. It's just like, it's a double
Yeah.
win. It's a double
And
win.
it's not always easy. Like
No.
there's it takes some work and it takes some time. I think ironically, like the longer that I've been off the booze, and I thought the booze was helping me get confidence. The longer I've been off it, the more confident that I've become. And like I'll go to a festival and I'll see everyone around me drinking and being like inside themselves and not wanting to like really go for it and dance. And like I feel like I'm like I don't care. Like I want to have a good time, and I only have this one life, and I want to like make the most of it. And I think being sober almost makes that like more important and like easier after time, but it definitely takes some work. Like the first couple of years it can be difficult to be so aware of everything, and like
Mm,
particularly in some of those moments.
mm.
And how's it affected you in terms of your social group? Do your friend, do you have a mixed background in terms of what your friends do? Are they some drinkers, some not, or has it been much of an issue?
um Not really, no. I think yeah, like I said, a couple of friends don't drink or reduce their drinking. But it like because everybody was so cool about it straight away, I haven't had that situation where I'm like, oh, I might have to like leave some friends behind. because everyone's been so supportive. And even to the point that we've had like, group trips somewhere or something for a group of us, and people have made sure that we've got stuff on the itinerary which isn't just boozing. So we'll go to like a board game bar or like do something like engaging together, and they've been mindful about bringing that in so that it is there. Or like we've been to a few stag do's, and like I organized the Munich one, and it's like make sure we've got some karaoke on there. We had like a party bus organized, like just making sure we've got stuff on there that's not just boozing. But everyone's been like so cool about it, which has really helped.
Have you found that many other people have kind of followed? Have you become a bit of a lighthouse for people?
A couple, I think people are curious, and like I said, like I'm not pushy about it at all. So it's difficult. It's definitely a couple of people that have like come off it, or like maybe drinking little bit less. And I think that comes with like growing up a little bit more, or just like adjusting the kind of things we do. It's definitely made me wonder. I'm like, was I the guy that was pushing the messiness? Because if I think about some situations that I go into sober, I'm like, before I would be like pushing for shots now, or like
Yeah,
getting a couple of pints in, and I was like, was I the problem?
it's quite hard, that, isn't it? Because I'm sure we'll all relate to this. Is that when when you when you kind of come out as alcohol free, if you like, for want of a better term, you feel like, all of a sudden, a year ago you were this guy who literally was always the one who was in a mess, who was always the one who's getting the shots out, and all of a sudden you're coming out as like Mr. Holier than thou, whiter than white. Oh, I don't drink anymore. And you kind of feel a bit like everyone's looking at you thinking, oh yeah, that's all very well you saying that now, but a year ago you were a complete mess, and da, 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 and it feels like you're, I don't know how you put it. It just feels a bit incongruent for people who
Yeah.
knew the old you versus the new the new you. But it sometimes it just happens. It's a bit like, sometimes maybe it's a bit like when people kind of find religion. They just kind of, it is a bit like a religious experience in a way, because you kind of go through something and you become almost like an evangelist for it. And perhaps not so much with you, Ollie, because and fair play to you, you're much more understated with it. Where perhaps me and Steve are a bit more kind of, screaming from the rooftops how great it is, come and join us, that kind of thing. We're a bit more cultish about it, I suppose, one of a better
Yeah.
word. But yeah, it's funny how you can go from being a certain way to then having a certain experience, and then you're very different coming out the other side of it.
Yeah, it's so difficult because it is such a good thing. I wouldn't like if anybody asked me about it, I'm like, it's the best thing I've ever done. It's changed my whole life. Like it's allowed me to explore all of the things that I've always wanted to do. Like my mind is calm. Like I feel really good. I sleep well. Like it's a complete game changer, and I didn't trade in anything for it. Like it's not made anything worse at all. And so it's like it's such a no-brainer. But it almost it's difficult. It's one of these things. It's a bit like exercising as well. Like when you start getting into it, and you sort of want to tell everyone like, go for a run like 4 times a week. You'll feel so good.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I think for some people it maybe adds some pressure, or makes them think about the fact they're not doing it or something. So yeah, I have to be mindful of that. And obviously it's so culturally ingrained to drink, like to say to somebody like, I don't think you should drink, or like I would recommend not drinking, is so difficult.
It is difficult. It's interestingly, it's not often that we have people on that are more time alcohol free than ourselves. And I know coming up
Just
to
you
5
and
years
Catherine
now,
Gray.
just yourself. Well, and I think Andy Ramage, all the big, the hitters.
Me and my mate Catherine.
Yeah. Is there? Because I know that for me, coming up on 5 years, there are still days that catch me out. That in terms of in a good way, not in a my God, what a great day. What a I was aware of it the other day. Andy Ramage put something up on his socials. He was out walking woodpeckers in the morning, that kind of thing, and I'm getting all kind of tree huggy here, and that's not what I want to do. But do you still have that 7 years in? Do you still have days that you just think, bloody hell, I'm so glad I did this, or something that really catches you in a positive way?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time.
Yeah.
I think I think it's really important to to always think back to it. Like I love looking back to pictures of being messy and being like, I'm not that guy anymore, and
Yeah.
just feeling really grateful for having made the decision. I think maybe this is a bit of an aside, something in my notes that just took my eye. Like, well, I think one of your early guests said that like the life that they've chosen is hedonistic in not drinking and like doing all of these things that are good for themselves is a hedonistic lifestyle. And I
Mm.
think that that's like really stuck with me. Like this is a life that is like is really good, and it's been a really good positive decision. So, and I think like yeah, and if I reflect on like, oh, do I miss any of it at all? Like old fashions is like the only thing. But old fashions was also like my real downfall. Like if someone can nail the wine and like some kind of like old fashioned thing, like alcohol free, that would be great. I think the
Old
beers are
fashioned's going to be a tricky one, eh?
it is.
Coming from a bartender there, I used to, I'm the guy that used to dread when someone ordered an old fashioned because to make an old fashioned well it took about 15 minutes, and when you're
Mm.
six deep on the bar and a bunch of guys getting an order 10 old fashions, I just wanted to thump them. But yeah,
Yeah, and I've tried lots of like mocktails that try their best, but
yes,
it's
yeah.
never gonna get there.
I think if you can stick with the fruity drinks, you're fine. But once you start to mess around
Yeah,
with
yeah,
something
yeah.
like an old fashioned, you know,
Yeah.
right, great.
What's in an old fashioned for the peasants among us?
An old fashioned is a, you get a, I don't want to have anyone that's thinking of going alcohol free listening to us salivating over an old fashioned because it's a long time since I've talked about making an old fashioned, but it's a very slowly stirred bourbon with kind of maraschino cherry
Okay.
and sugar and and bitters, and you kind of stir it slowly to make it apparently nice and smooth. But I'm sure if I tasted one right now, it would taste far from smooth. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But it was so bad for me. Like I had my sister's 30th, I think it was. We went to a bar and it was buy one get one free. And I
right.
bought two old fashions, and they went down so quickly, like 10 minutes in. And
Mm,
then my friend came over, oh Ollie, I bought you a couple of drinks. Like, okay, two more old fashions, sweet.
Two more
My
old
brother
fashioned.
and then my brother's like, oh, I don't really like these. Okay, you can have them. Okay, two more old fashions. And literally within the hour I'd had like 12 shots of bourbon. And
right.
that night was so bad. Like it was a complete embarrassment in front of my family, and like
Mm.
almost sat on the birthday cake, like just so messy. And it was definitely like, oh, Ollie's there again. Ollie's doing this again.
Mm.
So yeah, it's yeah, it's definitely good that they're out of my life.
So I've got to ask you. So you obviously you introduced me to alcohol-free beer, and I'm forever grateful for you for that. You got any
Mhm.
tips? What are you drinking at the moment? What's in your
You're going to bring
fridge?
out your list, James. You're going to bring out your.
We haven't talked about alcohol-free beer for a little
No, we
while. I mean,
haven't. We haven't.
what are you drinking? What do you like?
My fridge is boring, so I don't have any alcohol-free beers. I
What?
drink a lot of I drink a lot of Pepsi Max.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean Guinness is obviously like I think Guinness is the closest to the original. So I like
Mm.
to drink a Guinness. I really like places that do alcohol-free beer on tap. I think a pint makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
sometimes I'll often be a bit more turned off by like a smaller can or something. I don't know what it is.
mm.
Um, I've
I think it's
always
value for money a lot of the time, isn't it? I know it's more expensive to make, but there is that feeling of paying £6.50 for a bottle of a 33 bottle. I don't know. And I
yeah.
agree. There is still that ritual of
Yeah.
having the pint for
I
sure.
like a big can of like an IPA or something. Like
Yeah.
if you go to like Borough Market, there's a really good like bottle shop there that has a fridge, and it's got like all sorts
Yeah,
of
I know those.
great
Yeah.
different beers. I quite like a alcohol-free gin and tonic. I know that feels like way more of a rip-off a lot of the time, but in the right setting, I think that really does the trick. Um, the one of the things I still like, but it's always been a bit tricky to order in a bar, is like an alcohol-free shandy. Like asking someone to like put an alcohol-free Heineken in a pint glass and top out with lemonade. Like I've had all sorts. Like someone brought me like a can with a glass with some like fresh lemons in it. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not. It's a
Yeah.
shandy that is
Yeah.
alcohol-free.
Yeah.
Like that.
I never
I
thought of
really
that.
like that in a pub.
But it is huge. You're going back to Munich. I mean, Radler is huge in
Oh
Germany,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and obviously they'd like to sell their beers big over there. But
yeah,
Radler, would be the done thing just to and I can get where you're coming from with that. I can't. I can imagine it's quite tricky to order at a bar, but I can imagine
Yeah.
it is. And yeah, nice refreshing drink. I'm
It's
sure.
so
Very good.
simple, but it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
But
yeah.
That's what. No, go on,
sorry,
Ollie.
on Germany, so they're funny because we sort of got that they have such good alcohol-free beers. You can get a stein of alcohol-free beer. Like there's so much available, but everyone's still a bit like funny about it. It's like I want the alcohol-free, and someone just said, "Oh, what the Kinder beer?" And it's like you've got it everywhere. There's alcohol-free
Yeah,
beers everywhere. It's
yeah,
in your
yeah,
culture. Like you're so supportive.
yeah,
Yeah, it's huge over there.
yeah.
When I was
Yeah,
over there
it's so
for
good.
Oktoberfest, I had some really really good ones.
I've
Do
got a
you know what?
great
It's
Polana Weissbier Zero
oh
sitting
yeah,
behind me.
that you
Yeah.
still got
Oh, it's
that. You haven't
good.
drunk
Yeah,
all that
No, a
yet.
new one. No, I had the Polana Helles Weissbier. Sorry, the
Mm.
Helles Zero. But a
yeah.
friend of mine bought me the Polana Hefeweizen Zero, and I
Nice.
got it for my birthday. It's still sitting
The
here.
Erdinger is good as well. I like the
Yeah, I
blue
think it's good.
Erdinger.
Yeah,
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 it's nice.
yeah. I woke up, unfortunately, back to the drinking days. I woke up in Erding Station after being at the Oktoberfest back in my drinking days. So that's my biggest memory of Erding.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the now the summer's coming as well. I think some of those kind of more citrusy, lemony, fruitier beers. There's some really good ones out there. I really like all the big drop beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really nice. In fact, I reached out to the guy who set up Big Drop, trying to see him get him on the show. So if he's listening,
Yeah.
come on, and talk about your great beers. We want to hear about.
Yeah.
But
Catherine Gray listened and she came on.
yeah, if we can get Catherine Gray, the sky's the limit.
Exactly.
We're gonna be
Yeah.
dining out on that for the next 2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. Have
tell
you
you.
peaked? Have you peaked
You
already?
peaked too soon. Yeah, there's a few people on the list I'm trying to hunt down off the back of that. Still waiting for William Porter to come back to me.
Mm. But it is great. Like there's so many good beers now. Like I said when I
Yeah.
started, it was Beck's Blue. Like if you were lucky,
God.
and that's where the shandies came from. It just makes
Yeah.
it taste like less awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now like go in any pub, Guinness Zero's in most pubs now,
Yeah, you're right.
and like you get like two or three others.
Yeah.
Alcohol-free ciders scared me at first because they were so like close to like a normal
I
cider.
don't think I ever
So
tried
I've
that
had
alcohol-free
had a
cider.
I
few
never
of
drank
those.
cider
I
in my
wasn't a
drinking
big
days,
cider
so
drinker
yeah.
either.
It's not
Yeah,
for
it's
me.
nice in the summer.
Yeah. Cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Cool.
Okay, so what's next for you, Ollie?
In my life.
Yeah, what do you
Yeah,
I know.
what's
Obviously, you spoke about game design and stuff. Tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about what
so
you're doing there.
so I do like a little bit of game design. So I've launched like 10 games on what's the Playdate console. For anyone on video, it's this little yellow console with a crank.
Oh wow, you look
Um,
wicked.
Certainly found a niche in that, which was great. And then I'm launching my first game on PC this year. Followed by a couple of other games on the Playdate as well. So yeah, that's been great. And I think like I've said, I wouldn't have done it if I was still drinking. I wouldn't have had the brain power to do it or the drive. So I think that was like such a catalyst for it. And then so that's kind of where we are. Maybe some more traveling in the future, but we're just traveling tomorrow. We're going to Cambodia tomorrow for 2 weeks, so
Amazing.
that'll be good. And then Brighton
I
Marathon.
love the way you just dropped that in. Maybe a bit of traveling in the future. Oh, and
Maybe
by
a
the
bit of
way, I'm off to
travelling tomorrow.
Cambodia in the morning.
Yeah, 2 weeks of tapering down before the Brighton Marathon mid-April. So
Good luck with that. Good
yeah,
luck with that.
scares the life out of me.
Well, before we wrap up, I feel like we're starting a new tradition here. I've got a question that we've asked a few people that we've kind of done towards the end of each show, and I'm going to ask you the same question. With the benefit of hindsight, knowing what you know now, would you have never drunk alcohol at all?
Yeah, probably. I think
Really?
knowing what I know now, I think I don't. It's difficult if you're saying like, because I don't like to have regrets, and everything that I've done in my life has led to everything that I have in my life. So I think like I wouldn't change my life, but I think now knowing what I know, the idea of drinking is madness.
It really is, isn't it? What do you think?
Yeah. I think like I said, I've had as good as crazy nights, dancing on the chairs in a karaoke booth, screaming like at the top of my lungs, like having a great time letting loose without it. So I can't see any benefits with it now. So, I think for like my nieces and nephews and like younger people around me, when they get to that age, like for me, again, I don't want to be pushy, but like the advice I would give is like, doesn't, like, you can have fun without it. Like, you don't need it. And like you guys say a lot, like the younger generations now are really rethinking it. And I think, yeah, like things seem to be changing. So yeah, no regrets, but like it does seem like madness in hindsight.
Mm.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Well,
Ah,
it's been awesome to meet you, and it's been awesome to hear your story. And I think undoubtedly a beacon of light for people who are kind of on the fence or thinking about going alcohol free. And I know obviously James is sat where he is now on the back of your first
yeah.
encounter.
I mean,
So
honestly, mate,
it's amazing.
well, we wouldn't be doing this, or maybe Steve would be sat here with somebody else, but you
Yeah,
probably
it's your
would be
fault. It's your
I was
fault,
gonna
Ollie.
say better off. I maybe I would have ended up going alcohol free anyway. I don't know, but you definitely played a pivotal part in it for me because you gave me the tools to make it happen. You know, I'd been trying for ages, but you know, like I say, you say helped me on my coaching journey as well. So you've definitely played it forward. You know, so it
Yeah, it's
worked.
wicked. And like now, like you've paid it forward to so many more people as well. So it's yeah, I think it's fantastic. And like I love to, like I say, I'm always so proud of people that come off the booze and go like on that journey as well. So yeah, it's wicked. And I love the podcast. And thank you so much for this. Like it's been really good to reflect on this journey as well. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Adventure. Honest
Adventure.
adventure.
Yeah. And
Superb.
Catherine Gray, if you're still listening, thank you again.
She's still listening. She's still listening.
She's
This is actually listening to it back
on.
on repeat.
Yeah. Oh, superb. Well,
Awesome.
brilliant. Fantastic to see you again, mate. Keep in
Yeah.
touch
Yeah,
and we'll
no,
speak
take
to you
care.
again real
Brilliant.
soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.